evening, everybody. Welcome to PatFacts. Patrick here, Pattern Back, Personal Fitness. Hey, Andrea. Welcome. Everyone's having a great Wednesday. Tonight, we're going to talk about 5 ways. Let's just get Instagram going here, guys. 5 ways to kind of beat the heat or deal with heat when we're trying to stay active. It's tricky this time of year. With the temperature, the humidity, to maybe stay on track and to stick with what it is we want to kind of maintain or work through, or the program that we've created, because of the weather. It's unpredictable. It's tricky to deal with. So we're going to talk today about 5 ways to help you deal with the weather or prepare for the weather, whichever the case may be. Awesome. So welcome, everybody. Again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and now Instagram. Great to see everybody here live. So again, I'll be sharing 5 ways to help deal with the heat, work through the heat at this time of year. So feel free to share yours as well if there's certain things you like to do to help you beat the heat or to stay active this time of year, because it's a little cooler today here. But they say that the heat and humidity is kind of just beginning. That's going to stick with us for a while. So I want to make sure that we're prepared and have all of our options available and know what's there for us and what we can do to keep into our routine, but to be safe. And that's the main thing. We want to make sure that we're being safe. Haley Hyper, good morning, or good evening, sorry. Andrew, this week the weather is wonky. Yes, it is very wonky, but we do need the rain. You're right, it's been very helpful. The timing's been a little off, but it's been needed. So it's been great to have that with us. So again, feel free to comment in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Let me know what your favorite ways are to beat the heat or to stay active during this time of year. So we'll get into our first one. And number 1 way is the time of day. So looking at the time of day when you're active or working out or exercising can be a big factor. Typically, if there's lots of heat and humidity that are going to be present, we recommend early day. So maybe first thing in the morning or evening, kind of after dinner time, sort of that, just to avoid the hottest part of the day. Typically lunchtime is that hottest part of the day. That midday point is when it's the hottest. So we want to make sure we tend to avoid that. Early morning, the sun's just coming up, that temperature's just creeping up. Or again, the end of the day, sun's starting to go down. The day is ending. Temperature again is starting to drop as nighttime approaches. So making sure that you're prepared, which we'll talk about a little bit in just a moment, but prepare for those conditions that could be changing, the light and things like that. But early morning or evening are typically the recommended times to work out when there is lots of heat and humidity, to again be safe and to get the most out of the workout time that you can get in through as you're going through. Andrea mentions her day. We also like to do yoga in the basement when it's cooler. One of her ways to stay cool. It's a great tip, Andrea, for sure. Using the inside, changing your kind of environment. We didn't speak of that here directly, but will be something that we would look at for sure. It may be changing your environment. Instead of being outside, maybe stay inside. If it's a cooler area, if the basement to work out in, it's a great strategy to still get your workouts in. And again, be safe, be layered. You know, everything's there at your house that you need. You don't have to worry about the weather changing and that sort of thing. So it's a great way, great tip as well, Andrea. And she says we take our dog for a walk around 7 a.m. for sure. So it's not too hot for her. And yeah, we have to think of our pets as well, because they're affected by the heat and humidity as well, especially if they're being active out for walks or runs or playing fetch, things like that. I want to make sure that we're thinking of them as well. We all bring water, including a dog water bottle and dish. Perfect. So again, everyone's hydrated, even the pet, the dog. Yeah, we want to make sure again that they're hydrated as well, just like us. So we want to make sure that we're looking after that. And again, kind of being prepared, which takes us kind of to our next topic here is forecast/prepare. Vapor Fanatics, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. Prepare or forecast. So forecast, thinking of the weather forecast, we're trying to predict the weather. So always checking the weather. Look at on your phone, the newspaper, the weather channel on TV, the radio, whatever you prefer. But check the weather, stay up to date on it. It's not something typically I do often. We kind of do it habitually here. We get up in the morning, put the weather network on, or the radio is on, so we hear the weather forecasts. But now that I've started my outdoor classes, my Sunrise Strong classes at Centennial Beach, I try to be a little more proactive in checking the weather, at least the night before, even a couple of days before, kind of looking at maybe the next couple of days or even the week ahead to be able to think of what's coming up for class-wise. And then that forecast, which obviously could change, so don't just check it early in the week and then leave it, checking it as you go. To Mylan, good evening. Make sure you're checking it through, because again, it's a forecast, it's a prediction, and as we all know, their rate of being correct isn't always very high. So the forecast can change, systems can change. So make sure you keep checking, but that forecast can also help us prepare. We can prepare for what the weather is giving us. If it's going to rain, we can make sure we take an umbrella. We bring our rain gear. We could bring maybe different footwear if it's going to be a rainy day. Again, maybe we try to get out before the rain is supposed to start, so that we can be safe and not worry about slipping, or maybe not having a good grip on things if we're using certain equipment or things. So we can prepare for that. Again, the heat, humidity, like Andrea said, they prepare. They take their water for themselves, for the dogs. They get out early in the morning. They prepare because based on what the weather is forecast, it's telling us what's going to happen. So again, we can prepare for that and be ready for anything. And that's the key. You'll hear me in wintertime suggest you dress in layers. Better to have too many layers and have to take them off if you get too hot. And even this time of year, if it's a little cool, dress in the layers. Than to have just one layer of clothing on and either be not warm enough or too hot, again, depending on what it is, or maybe you get soaked because you don't have a layer of rain gear on or something. So prepare, use the forecast as one of those methods to prepare for the workout ahead. And again, keep in mind that this time of year, with the humidity rolling through and different systems coming in, the weather can change very quickly. There can be lots of rain showers, thunderstorms that could come up, things like that. So again, look ahead, look at that forecast, be prepared, and maybe not prepare for the worst, but prepare for some of those worst case scenarios, or maybe a little downpour happens, or there is a bit of a thunderstorm. What can you do? Are you somewhere where there's a bit of shelter? Are you somewhere where you can maybe get back to your car quickly if you're outside? What is it you need to do and to have at your disposal? And again, have the gear with you, maybe carrying a backpack or something with a raincoat, or again, an umbrella, some gear to have, maybe some extra water bottles, or again, somewhere to put some of the layers if you decide to remove some. If you maybe go out with some long sleeves because it's cooler and it's warming up as you go, or maybe you're trying to minimize the sun a little bit, but you need to remove some of that. Again, having that backpack with you to throw your stuff into keeps it off the ground, keeps it organized, keeps it ready for you, so that when you're done, you can just grab it and go. Or if you need it in a hurry, you can grab it and put it back on. So again, preparation is so key here. Often we think, oh, it's summertime, I just need myself and my water bottle and I can head out and go. But really, there are a lot of factors we want to keep in mind and make sure that we're paying attention to them. Even things like wildlife. At the beach where we work out, there's tons of geese that are there every morning hanging out. So you have to make sure that we're not getting too close to bother the geese or upsetting them. Or there's other wildlife, there's other people there as well that are around. And especially with the way things are now, we have to make sure we're keeping our 6 feet of distance and giving everybody their space and letting them do their morning routines, just like we have our routine there at the beach as well. So again, a lot of those things are preparation. And the more we can do that beforehand, then again, we're more prepared for any kind of situation that may come up. If it's weather, if it's the terrain you're supposed to use, maybe where you're going to work out is busy that day, maybe there's some kind of event. Remember those community events taking place. Maybe the space you want to use isn't available. Be prepared to have a different plan, have a different location, or to maybe change things up as you need to. So that forecast, prepare, I feel really work well together, because you want to forecast what it is you're doing or going to be doing so you can prepare for it. And we want to check that weather forecast so we can prepare ourselves for any kind of weather that we may have to endure during our workouts. And again, that can take us back to our first point, time of day. Maybe you change the time of day because of the weather. If you know it's going to be rainy and gross later in the afternoon, then maybe you switch to a morning workout, or vice versa. If you need to modify that again based on the forecast, it helps you prepare for the day and what it is you're looking to accomplish. So we've mentioned before here, it doesn't always have to be set in concrete of what you're doing. We want to have a schedule, we want to be following it and have a routine, yes, but we want to be able to modify when applicable, when we need to, and be able to adjust and make sure that we can still get something in, but maybe it's not quite what we had in mind. But again, we want to be safe, want to get the most out of the workout itself. So again, if we need to maybe adjust the time of day because of forecasts, among other things, then that's fine as well. You can kind of play around with that. So again, talking about our 5 ways to work through the heat this summer and be able to stay active and safe. So again, we had time of day, number 1. Forecast prepare was number 2. Number 3 is hydrate. We touched on this a little bit already. Andrea mentioned it for her walks. They always have water bottles for them and a water bottle for the dog as well, because they walk their dog in the morning. So again, making sure we're hydrating, and during our activities for sure, it's especially important because we're going to lose lots of fluid from sweat and different heat and things and processes that go on in the body. But we want to be hydrating throughout the day. I've heard everyone say that before, and it's true. We want to be pre-hydrating before the activity, hydrating during the activity, and post-hydrating, hydrating past the activity. So all day we want to be having that water bottle close by, taking a few sips here and there, making sure that you're staying hydrated. Our body, our brains, our cells need water for different processes to happen. So we need to be keeping that water intake up for us so we can take advantage of that. And then again, prepare the body so that when we get into our workouts, it can handle that loss of fluid, or we're not coming at it from a deficit already. We're coming at it from kind of a plus, a positive in terms of hydration in the body, so that we don't suffer such a huge loss, or we don't lose that energy because we're already starting maybe in that negative, that red zone of not being hydrated enough. So again, lots of sips through the day. Keep yourself hydrated during the day. Again, helps the cells, helps your brain, helps you get those posture breaks in. You have to get up, go to the washroom more often because you're drinking water. That gets you out of this chair, gets you moving a little bit, helps your body feel better too, and it helps you perform better during your workouts. Keeps you safe because you stay hydrated. We don't want to get overheated or dehydrated when we're working out. And the body and mind can perform at a high level to make sure we get the most out of that workout as we're going. So any time of year, it's always important to stay hydrated. But again, especially this time of year, because we do lose so much fluid in sweat, and we lose heat and things as well. So we want to make sure that we're putting those back into the body. The next one, number 4, PPE. You may have heard this term more often during the last 16 months or so. Basically, it was a quick way to say your personal equipment. Personal protective equipment is what PPE stands for. Basically here, meaning your personal equipment. So making sure that when you're outside, you've got your hat, you've got some sunglasses, you put on your sunscreen. Again, maybe you're wearing light clothes to reflect the heat away, to not absorb so much of the heat and the rays of the sun. Lighter clothes typically breathe a little bit, or don't, again, absorb the light, so you can don't get so heated. Maybe you have something like some wick away clothes, some dry fit type clothes where they'll wick away the sweat from you. There's some brands now that I know Under Armour makes a shirt that cools you as you heat up. It's supposed to cool the body, has an effect that cools the body as you're outside working out in the heat. So again, think of your PPE. What are you going to be wearing? What are you going to have? Again, layers are great, especially if there's different weather conditions that you think are going to pop up. So having those layers, having those extra layers, again, even in a backpack beside you, so that you can get to them if you need to. But making sure you have that gear ready. The sunglasses protect the eyes from straining through the sun. That sunscreen, obviously, to protect our skin. Again, the hat to give us some shade from the sun itself. If you find you get hot in a hat, I get hot quite quickly when I work out. So if you find that, maybe a visor would work for you as well, kind of that golf or tennis type visor. So it's open here to let the heat out, but you have the bill of it still to be in front to give you that shade from the sun to protect your nose and your face from that sunlight itself. But again, keeping you nice and cool. Again, this Under Armour hat has a bit of a sweatband built in. Some of them, the trucker hats, have more of a mesh style. So again, that'll let a little more heat out. So again, lots of options you can look at. The big sort of brim hats, the golf hats, to kind of give your whole head that protection, including the ears. Make sure you sunscreen the ears, or again, if you have that long, wide brim hat, that'll keep the sun off them, and the back of your neck as well. Again, we're trying just to limit the exposure to those UV rays. And again, time of day will help us as well, because if we're in the first thing in the morning or maybe in the evening, the rays aren't quite as strong. So then we don't have to, we won't be as exposed to them. And again, those effects won't be so harmful to us over time. So again, that's where that time of day and even that forecast of knowing what the day is doing can help you prepare for, again, when it is you're going to work out or what you need to bring with you for your PPE. And again, typically they recommend if you're wearing sunscreen, put it on before you go outside. I think it's about 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes to let it really sink in to your skin and get things going and be there to give you that high level of protection. Water bottle is part of your PPE. Make sure you have your water bottle or bottles with you if you're out for a long time. Make sure they're full. Some people will maybe throw them in the freezer, fill them half full, freeze them, and then put the water through the second half before they go. Then they've got nice ice cold water as you're out on your run or your workout, whatever it is that you're doing. So think of things like that as well. Again, it comes back to that preparation of thinking ahead of what's the weather going to be, where am I going to be, what am I going to be doing, what do I need to take with me, how do I need to prepare, how do I respond to what it is I'm doing. Do I get really hot, do I get really thirsty, do I sweat a lot? Again, everyone's different, so know yourself and know what it is that you need to keep yourself safe, firstly, most importantly, and also performing at that high level to get the most that you can out of that workout. So again, top 5 things to help us get through the heat. Time of day, we've talked about. Forecast and prepare, number 2. And you can see these have all intertwined with each other as well, like we'd like to do here. There's not just one thing and then the other. They're all kind of related. So if one component isn't being looked after as much, it's going to affect the other components as well. And we just talked about PPE, or personal protective equipment. So what do you need to keep you safe, to keep you, again, performing efficiently, to make the most of the conditions that you're going to be in. And number 5 is, if you need to, modify your activities. So if it's going to be a really hot, humid day, maybe the time of day couldn't be changed. Maybe you couldn't get out in the morning or the evening. You've got to do kind of an afternoon type thing. Then maybe you need to modify the activities. Maybe instead of a 30-minute HIIT class, maybe you're like Andrea suggested, maybe you're doing some yoga in the basement where it's nice and cool, it's shaded. You have air conditioning or fans going, so you don't overheat. So you bring down the intensity and you change the environment as well. Or maybe you can do that HIIT class in your basement and not outside where it's so hot. Maybe you go outside after and do a little stretching when you're warm from the class or the workout. It's warm anyway outside, but your intensity is coming down. So you don't have to worry about overdoing it in the sun and worrying about heat stroke and sunstroke and things like that, or heat exhaustion. All those conditions we can be kind of exposed to from doing too much outside without taking the necessary precautions. So again, coming back to forecast and prepare, that's going to help you know whether maybe you need to modify the activities that day. Maybe your walk is a shorter walk because of the heat and humidity. Maybe it's shorter because you're doing it in the evening because you want a little cooler, but maybe it's getting darker. Maybe you can't get an hour in because of your schedule. Maybe it has to be a 30-minute walk. Again, maybe you play with the intensity. Less time, but more intensity might be okay if you've changed the time of day to not be so hot. So you can modify to make things easier or less intense, but also go the other way. Maybe modify them to make them maybe more intense because the time is less or the time of day has changed. There's so many different components you can factor in there, but think of different ways you can modify them. Or maybe change the activity altogether. If you have access to a pool, maybe do some aquafit And no, Aquafit isn't just a seniors thing. And I know some of you have taken my classes here that are in the chat. Aqua Fitness is for everybody. You can get a great strength training workout, a cardiovascular workout in the water. There's no impact on the joints. You don't need equipment. You just need yourself and moving the water. The water cools you as you're working out, so you don't feel that sweat and that heat, but you do give off a lot of heat. So make sure you hydrate, even if you're doing some Aqua Fitness. But it's a great way to kind of build in that cooling effect, and again, take some impact off the body. Maybe gives you some extra time to play with. You don't have to worry about early morning or in the evening, because maybe you can pop in the pool in the middle of the day and get that workout in. So again, look at the types of activities you're going to do. Have some options. Again, if it's a really hot day, maybe I'm not going to go for that long bike ride. Maybe I'm going to do this instead. Or maybe I shorten the bike ride. Or maybe I change the time of when the bike ride is going to be. So you can see there's no one set answer for everybody. It's going to depend on you, because we're all different. We all handle the heat differently. We're all used to accustomed to working out in the heat in different levels. Some of us are very accustomed to it. Some of us aren't at all. And again, it's going to depend on your sleep. It's going to depend on your hydration, how you've been eating that week. Even your stress levels and things are going to determine how the body's going to respond and react. So all those things will come into effect as well. So that's why we want to forecast and prepare. But if you always try to recommend here, have a couple of plans. Don't just have one. Have a plan B, maybe a plan C, so that you have different options to work with if you need to. So I'll just hop over to our comments here. Hit in the basement, Andrew says, yes, hit in the basement. Nice and cool. Again, your stuff's there, water's there. You can quickly refill if you need to. You can grab a towel or whatever. And again, it's cool, and typically in your basement. It's a cool area. You've got the space to use, then it's a nice way to get it done. Where again, maybe you didn't have to modify the activity, but you modified the location. So sometimes you have to do that. Just like in the winter, we can't always get outside to do what we want to do. So sometimes we have to do things inside. Andrew says we also wait until dusk to then play outdoors with the dog, for sure. So again, morning walk with the dog, and then that evening walk at dusk with that as well. So again, looking at different times of day, and maybe Andrea's talking about splitting her day up. So you could do that with your workouts as well. Maybe do a 20-minute, 30-minute workout in the morning. Maybe do a little more in the evening of the rest. Maybe do cardio in the morning, some weights in the evening. Maybe do some weights in the morning, yoga in the evening. Maybe some yoga in the morning to open the body and the mind up and get ready for the day. And then maybe get a nice workout in at the end of the day to work on that stress management and that release of the day, and to really hit into the evening on a good note. Again, there's no one way to do things. It's whatever's going to work best for you. If you're not sure, feel free to reach out, and we can try to look at some different suggestions and ideas. Thanks, Andrea. I missed the Aquafit as well. Yeah, win the lottery and get your own pool, and then we'll set up some classes for sure. Yeah, it's definitely, again, a nice alternative, even regardless of the heat. You can do Aquafit anytime. And again, it's a nice alternative if there's low impact on the body. And again, the buoyancy of the water, there's no eccentric load. So you lift weights, there's a concentric and an eccentric, or that lowering phase. In the water, there is no lowering phase because you're surrounded by water. There's no gravity working against you. So on land, if you do a curl, it's bicep up, bicep down. In water, it's bicep up, tricep extend. So it switches back and forth. So typically there's no muscle soreness, or not as much muscle soreness after an intense workout as well. So then that helps you lead to more recovery. So you'll see a lot of professional athletes now, if they're come back from injury, they'll get in the water and do a lot of their rehab and their footwork and their agility training, because there's no impact on the body. That water gives them buoyancy. There's less impact. They can work on that foot placement without that kind of wear and tear on the body, so it can heal, and then they can get back to their activity. Again, more gradually. It's used as a way to rehab. But again, it's not just for seniors. It's not just for rehab. You can get a really good intense workout once you get used to it. It takes a few workouts to really get into how the water works and how you can use it to your advantage. So if you haven't tried it, as things open up here, hopefully soon, give it a try. Or if you have a pool, I want to get out and get some aqua fitness and do some movement through the water, and just see how it feels. And again, reach out if you're not sure what to do, and maybe we can set up a little workout or something for you. Thanks, Mel, for being here. Music meditation, good evening. Great to have you here listening on Twitch. Again, guys, so that's our 5 ways to beat the heat. And thank you for sharing yours as well. Again, making sure that you're thinking of the time of day, looking at the forecast and preparing based on that. So forecast meaning weather, and forecast also meaning your activities. What is it you're doing? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What do you need? And then you can use that forecast or those forecasts to prepare. What do I need to bring with me? What backups do I need to have? What do I need if the weather changes or the timing changes or what I want to do? Then again, you can prepare for those things, those unexpected things. Hopefully you can prepare for some of those circumstances. So that, again, you don't get caught off guard quite so much. Hydrate, 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 always hydrating, even if you're not working out that day. If it's not warm where you are watching this or listening to this right now, we always want to stay hydrated. Hydrate throughout the day. Make sure you're drinking your water. Find a way that works best for you. I kind of go through phases where a bottle like this, my Carnation bottle is nice. It just has that flip top. So as long as I keep it full, I can sip on my water and stay hydrated through the day. I may as well take a sip while we're talking about it. Sometimes I've preferred kind of those cups with the straw that are set in them, the plastic cups with the straw kind of built in, the twist top. Again, just having it there on my desk. When I worked at the base and had an office, I had that on my desk all day, and I could just sip on it, put it back, and I found that really worked for me. Sometimes just having a squeeze bottle where I can just kind of squeeze and grab it, and again, squeeze a little water in my mouth, and then go on. So for some people, it's having just a glass of water on their desk. I know some people who will take 2 or 3 bottles, usually the kind of aluminum ones, but they'll take sort of water bottles, like I said, fill them halfway, freeze them, and they'll throw them in their car. They have maybe a Yeti bottle or something that keeps things cold for so long. They'll freeze it, throw it in their car the night before. So when they head to work or to the office, wherever, they have their water with them through the day. They fill up the rest of the way, and then they've got their water set for them. So again, it's finding ways that work for you and finding things that you like to drink. Water is typically preferred, obviously, because it's pure. If you're into coffee and tea and things like that, that's fine. You do get some water from them, but keep in mind they do typically cause you to urinate more often, so you're going to lose fluid as well. So typically, it's usually recommended if you're having a coffee or a tea, have some water as well to make sure you're staying hydrated and keep those fluids up. Juices and things, again, you want to be careful of sugar intake. I sometimes will err on the side of getting some hydration. If I need some flavor in it, then maybe I'll go that route of it, or be okay with a client maybe doing that if they need some flavor to get the drink in. And then we can work on different alternatives as we go on. Maybe the hydration is the habit first, and then we can modify what they're taking in. But again, you can look at things like an infuser that goes in the water bottle. You can put fruit in there, lemons, cucumbers, different berries, and they give that water some natural flavor as well. So there's lots of different options out there for you to look at. But hydrating is so important just for day-to-day life, but especially when you're more exercised in these hot and humid conditions. PPE, so your personal protective equipment, your sunscreen, your hat, your sunglasses, again, having water bottles with you, and anything else you need. Do you need some exercise gloves? Are you going to be outside at a playground, maybe where the equipment could be hot if it's in the sun? Maybe you want some gloves. Maybe you want a towel to wipe the sweat off. Maybe you want a towel to put on surfaces, right, especially right now, as you're working out to reduce the risk of germs. Maybe you need your hand sanitizer with you, or some wipes to make sure, again, that you can sanitize after you're done, maybe using, if it's a public area that you're working out in, if you don't have your own things with you. And maybe that's part of your PPE as well, as having Your equipment. I don't have them here next to me, but with Sunrise Strong, everyone got some Liebert fat bands, functional assistant training bands. So the big long loop training bands. So they bring them with them to the workouts every Monday and Thursday. So now we don't worry about sharing equipment. We don't have to worry about having high touch points in a public area because we're in a park. They have their own equipment. So maybe that's your PPE of having some equipment that you can bring with you, a skipping rope or some tubing, or something like that you're going to bring with you for your workouts. So you don't have to worry about maybe touching those high contact surfaces. And number 5, modify your activities. So either changing the intensity, the duration, and again, the time of day could be modifying as well, or change the activity altogether. Maybe it's a low intense workout, maybe it's something in the water, maybe it's just something totally different and new and low intense. There's different ways. Hey, DJ on point, good evening. There's different ways to modify what it is you're doing to, again, be safe, but still be effective. And again, maybe that's sometimes just changing your schedule a little bit, going back to time of day, maybe time of week. If you have a certain workout routine set in, and you know it's going to be really hot and humid for maybe a couple of your, say, a long run day or something, where you're out training, doing some training for a 10K or a half marathon or something, then maybe you want to change your schedule that week to run on the cooler days to make sure that, again, you're safe, number one, but also perform at that high level. So we want to, again, there's no set way to do it. The routine is important. We want to understand that we can modify the routine if we need to. Better to modify the routine and make adjustments than to bail on the routine altogether because, it's too hot to run today. I'm not going to do it. Man, I wish I had run on Tuesday. It wasn't this hot on Tuesday. So you can, again, play around with things. That's where we come back to that forecast and prepare. That can help you understand what it is you're doing that week. And again, that forecast could change. Maybe you change your schedule back as the weather updates. But if you have an idea of what's going on, then again, maybe you can adjust and modify to know that, this week I've got to juggle my workouts around a little bit to make sure that I'm safe and get the most of my performance to help myself be operationally fit. A DJ on point again, thanks for being here. Appreciate you tuning in. So those are our five tips. For, again, exercising, being physically active in the heat, so we can be safe, and again, be effective with our workouts as well. Thanks, Andreas. Excellent topic. I appreciate that. Thanks so much for tuning in and for the feedback. A couple more comments here. Flavored water. Flavor-wise, sometimes can get dehydrated. Can I suggest a homemade electrolyte? For sure, yeah, definitely. You can suggest a homemade electrolyte drink. That would be appreciated. You can definitely suggest that and share it. Do you want to post it here, or I could post it in the comments after? I'm not sure if it's very, very detailed. If you want to post the recipe or the drink here in the chat, that would be great. Instagram. After I'm done, what I've started to do is when I'm done, I'll kind of delete the live and I'll bring the recording from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch because I use StreamYard, and the comments can post up on screen so you can see that on the replay, because unfortunately I can't stream to Instagram through StreamYard just yet, but hopefully soon. They're working on that. But what I do now, if you notice you're here on live, I'll delete the live after I download the recording. And then I'll post it. So again, when I bring people's comments up on screen, like I'm doing right now on StreamYard, and I'll do that, she's going to share the recipe with us in just a sec, so you'll be able to see that as well. Because again, I won't be in the comments on Instagram either. Or you can check me out on Facebook at POYBFit, just like on Instagram. That'll take you to my Pat on Your Back personal fitness page, and you can see the comments and the replay there as well if you want to kind of jot things down. But we'll bring things here. Yes, Andrew, for sure. Electrolytes are important for sure. Sometimes, depending on what you're doing, water could be maybe not quite enough. So you wanted to, sure, on point. Yeah, we'll see you on Twitch. Again, the replay doesn't get, unfortunately, posted there. I'm live there. But again, the replay doesn't stay, unfortunately, because StreamYard doesn't post for some reason. So, but I am live on Twitch right now if you want to pop in, and you can see the comments live. And again, the recording will be on Instagram later or on my Facebook page as well. So again, sometimes if we're doing long durations of workouts, maybe we're working out for an hour or so or more, those electrolytes are so important. So here's our recipe. So 1.5 cups of filtered water. So this is our homemade electrolyte drink. 2 to 3 teaspoons of sugar. So she recommends maple syrup. and a pinch of Himalayan salt or gray salt. So again, that's her homemade electrolyte drink. So again, if you're going to be outside, even if you just find you're having trouble drinking water, again, it gives it a little bit of flavor. The salt, the maple syrup would definitely give it a bit of flavoring that would probably entice you to drink it more. That's why sports drinks typically are so popular, because there's sugar and things in them to give them great flavor. So you want to drink them more, and that's how you get the hydration from them. That's the kind of the some of the science behind it, having that salt and that sugar in there, creating that taste, so you really like it and you want to drink it down because it tastes so good, so you get the hydration from it, where sometimes water it isn't always the most tasteful thing as well. So another cooling tip from music and meditation, place a damp cloth in the freezer and then you place it on your wrist or the back of your neck. Yeah, that's a great tip. So again, a damp cloth in the freezer, maybe throw that in the freezer before you head out for your walk or your workout outside. And then when you come back in, grab it, put it on the back of your neck. Great cooling spot there, or on the wrists as well. Again, a great spot to help the body cool itself down. So a nice way to put it in. Again, maybe help some of that inflammation and things as well that you can find. So she says that also, I find I'm sensitive to sodium intake in some foods, and that electrolyte drink really helps me. So again, another tip. So it's hydration, but again, if there's some sensitivities or different things that you have, again, there's different ways to maybe work around it. Sometimes you have to look for it. Sometimes you have to ask or do a little research and find those ways as well. Andrea says we have cooling clothes for us and the dog. I know my mom has cooling jackets and blankets for the dogs, especially when they're in the car, in their crates. She doesn't leave them in the car for things, but even just driving, because they're in their crates and things, she has a cooling vest for them as well, and a cooling blanket, I believe, with some kind of the same idea as freezing. I think she freezes like an ice pack, and that goes inside the blanket, and then it cools the dog again as they're lying in their crate, or if she's at a dog agility show where they're doing some agility trials, jumps and weaving, things like that. Again, it's high intensity, short duration. So again, same idea. They'll rest the dogs in the kennel with the cooling blanket, so the body can really cool down and they can recover a little bit. So again, there's so many tools and tips. Like I said, Under Armour now has a line of cooling clothes that are supposed to cool you as you work out. There's different kinds as well. And again, like Mel said, even just a cloth in the freezer, and then taking that out, putting it on the back of your neck or the wrist. Again, it doesn't have to be rocket science. Things can be very simple and straightforward and have great results for us as well. So again, the keys are to finding what works for you. As we always say here, that trial and error, trying things out, see what works, try new things, get an idea, get a system, get a routine. And then again, you can kind of apply that hot weather system to any of your activities. If it's a bike ride, if it's a run, if it's a hike, if it's yoga, if it's aqua fitness, if it's just being outside, spending some time with people, if you know what works for you to help you stay cool, then you can apply those systems to other areas of your life as well. To again, want to make sure everybody's very safe and performing at that high level, helping them stay operationally fit. So thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Thanks for sharing that electrolyte recipe. Again, that'll be on the, I'll put it up there for people to see as we're signing off here. It'll be on the Facebook replay in the comments, YouTube as well. Instagram, it'll pop up on screen here as I have it up there. I don't believe comments don't come through on the recording, but they will pop up on screen. So you'll see them there and you can jot it down. And again, Twitch, unfortunately, we don't get a posting of the video. It doesn't leave it there. We're just live. But again, if you hop over to Facebook or Instagram, you can catch me there. At POYB Fit helps you get there. Or Pat on Your Back Personal Fitness on YouTube. It's all the same kind of address and name. So if you search that name on any platform, it'll come up. Twitch is a little different, but it should come up that way as well. So thanks, Andrea, for being here. Yes, have a great night, everyone. Again, last review for the electrolyte drink: 1.5 cups of filtered water, 2 to 3 teaspoons of sugar. I almost say tablespoon each time. Maple syrup is her preferred. I think some honey probably might work for people as well. And a pinch of Himalayan salt or gray salt. Again, that's going to help you hang on to that fluid and that water and keep it in your system so the body can use it and do what it needs to do. So again, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you so much for interacting and sharing. I love when we can share with each other and like we say, not just make the team, but make the team better by sharing our experiences and our ideas and our recipes and what works for us. So thanks so much for being here. Again, we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. We're there every Wednesday night. Stay tuned for more things coming. We're bringing back the virtual fitness platform. Again, a little different setup than what I had before, but the same concept, just kind of a different host and different platform. So stay tuned for more information coming from that. A men's summer shape up program coming, a virtual program, so you can do it from anywhere, from the comfort of your own home. Details on that, and online fitness coaching as well. Wellness coaching really is coming back. Hey, Gretchen. As well. So again, some details on that coming down the pipe as well. So again, thank you so much for being here and sharing your tips on how to stay cool in the summer with us. Again, stay safe. Make sure you use the list. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Be kind to each other. Oh, join me tomorrow night at 9 Eastern for 3 Not So Wise Men and a Much Wiser Ladies. Myself, Blake, Chris, and Maria. It's our weekly show. Again, you can look us up at 4 Wise Ones on Facebook, or again, find my Facebook page. I post a link there. Unfortunately, we're on YouTube actually. If you look up Blake Miles Coaching, we're not on Twitch or Instagram just yet, but maybe soon. I'm doing good, Gretchen. Thank you. Hope you're doing well as well. That's too many wells. Hope you're doing well too. But thank you. Good to see you again. Hopefully we can catch you here next week at 6 for PatFacts. Again, tomorrow night, 9 Eastern for 3 Not So Wise Men and a Much Wiser Lady. We're talking about summer activities, what some of our favorite summer activities are. So hopefully you can catch us there. Again, you'll see the link on my Facebook page. If you're not sure, send me a DM and I can get that to you as well. And if you're looking for the replay and can't find it, again, send me a DM and we can get that information to you as needed. So have a great night, everybody. Again, be kind to each other. Be kind to yourselves. Stay safe. Remember, stay persistent. We're not out of this yet, but we're getting closer. And remember, always make yourself the priority that you deserve to be by striving to be operationally fit. Stay safe, gang. Have a great night. I will talk to you soon.